Hey guys, after a long time I'm back with my personal story. Let's get right into it. The Holloway family reunion was always a lavish affair, an extravagant display of wealth and carefully curated appearances. Held at the Holloway Grande Hotel in downtown Chicago, it brought together family members, extended relatives, and corporate investors to celebrate the Holloway legacy. Tonight was no different. The grand ballroom sparkled with crystal chandeliers, golden table settings, and extravagant floral centerpieces. Laughter and conversation filled the air as servers moved through the crowd with trays of champagne. At the center of it all stood my wife, Isabel, tall, poised, and effortlessly elegant. She was everything a man was supposed to want: beautiful, successful, admired. Tonight, she was the star of the evening, preparing to accept the prestigious Family Legacy Award for integrity, leadership, and commitment to family values. But as I sat rocking our 3-month-old son Caleb in my arms, the words family values felt bitter. Isabel was a fraud. That morning, I hadn't planned on discovering the truth. It fell into my lap. As she showered, her phone buzzed. A message flashed on the screen. "Missing your touch this morning. Can't wait to replace your boring husband." The sender? Julian Rivers, her 26-year-old personal assistant. I unlocked her phone and found hundreds of messages, intimate photos, and plans for a trip to Italy, all evidence of their affair and their plot to steal clients from Holloway and Company. Despite the pain, I kept my composure. I waited through the evening, watching her prepare to accept her award. As she took the stage, I synced her phone to the venue's massive projector screen. Just as she began her speech, another message from Julian popped up for everyone to see. "Can't wait for round 2, gorgeous. He'll never know." The room fell silent. Isabel's perfect mask cracked. Gasps and whispers filled the ballroom as the truth unfolded. Another message appeared, confirming their plan to steal clients. Then Julian's FaceTime call flashed on the screen, his smug face for all to see. Isabel stood frozen, her world burning around her. Her father, Harrison Holloway, rose from his seat, his fury palpable. "My office, now," he commanded. Later in Harrison's office, he stripped Isabel of her position and her access to company funds. I remained calm, stating my intention to file for full custody of Caleb. As we left, she pleaded with me, but the damage was done. At home, I laid Caleb in his crib, the only thing keeping me grounded. Then Isabel arrived, makeup smudged, her carefully constructed life in ruins. "You humiliated me," she whispered. "No," I said coldly. "You humiliated yourself. I just let everyone see the truth." When she asked if we could talk, I had only one question. Talk about what? The affair? The betrayal? The plan to steal from your own father? She had no answer, and then unexpectedly, she sank to her knees, but some things can. The clink of silverware against porcelain was the only sound at the dinner table. Tension hung thick in the air, heavier than the scent of roasted chicken and herbs. Emily kept her eyes fixed on her plate, pushing a green bean back and forth with her fork. Across from her, her father cleared his throat. "So," he said, his voice too casual. "How's school?" "Fine," Emily muttered. Her mother reached for the breadbasket. "Your teacher called today." Emily's hand froze. She glanced up, meeting her mother's sharp gaze. Don't lie," her father snapped, slamming his palm against the table. The dishes rattled. "What's this about you skipping classes?" "I wasn't." "Then what do you call it?" Emily's chest tightened. The room felt too small, too hot. "It's not what you think." "Then explain it," her mother said, her voice quiet but cutting. I just needed some time," Emily whispered. "Time for what?" her father demanded. Tears prickled the corners of Emily's eyes. "I don't know. I can't." The silence that followed was louder than the shouting had been. Her parents stared at her, their faces a mix of frustration and concern. Finally, her mother sighed, her shoulders slumping. "We just want to understand," she said. Emily nodded, but the words wouldn't come. She kept her eyes on her plate, the green bean still untouched. "Be undone." A woman in her late 50s cleared her throat, a subtle but unmistakable signal that the proceedings were about to begin. "We are here today to determine custody arrangements for Caleb Holloway," she announced, her sharp gaze sweeping across the room. "The petitioner, the father, is seeking full custody, citing concerns over the mother's instability and lack of financial resources." Turning toward Isabel's lawyer, she asked, "The respondent has filed for joint custody, is that correct?" Her lawyer, a polished man who looked like he had stepped right out of a law school brochure, nodded. "That's correct, Your Honor. My client acknowledges her past mistakes, but believes that shared custody is in the child's best interest." I almost laughed. Isabel believed in a lot of things. She believed in Julian. She believed she could get away with her lies. She believed she was untouchable. But belief meant nothing now. Leon, my lawyer, stood up. "Your Honor, my client is requesting sole custody because he has consistently been the child's primary caregiver. The mother, while previously employed, has recently lost her position due to misconduct and has yet to secure a stable income. We believe joint custody would not provide the security and stability the child needs." The judge nodded thoughtfully, making notes. Then she turned her attention directly to Isabel. "Miss Holloway, do you currently have stable employment?" Isabel hesitated. "No, not at the moment, but I'm actively looking." "And where are you currently residing?" the judge asked. Isabel swallowed hard. "In a rental apartment." Leon leaned forward. "Your Honor, my client owns his home, has a stable career, and is financially prepared to provide for Caleb without issue. Meanwhile, Miss Holloway has yet to establish herself in a way that ensures the child's well-being." I watched Isabel shift uncomfortably in her seat. This wasn't a battle she could win with empty promises. This was about facts. Cold, indisputable facts. Her lawyer stood again. "Your Honor, my client is a dedicated mother. Despite her recent setbacks, she has always played an active role in her son's life. The loss of her job does not define her ability to parent," Leon immediately countered. "We disagree, Your Honor. Stability is paramount when raising a child. Furthermore, we have evidence that Miss Holloway engaged in an extramarital affair, which led to the breakdown of the marriage. This behavior demonstrates a pattern of dishonesty and questionable decision-making." The judge's eyes sharpened. "Is this true, Miss Holloway?" Isabel's jaw tightened. "I made a mistake," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But that doesn't mean I don't love my son." My fists clenched under the table. Even now, she was trying to play the victim, trying to paint herself as the wounded party. Leon spoke again. "Your Honor, we have financial records showing that Miss Holloway siphoned company funds to her lover, Julian Rivers, while still married to my client. This not only led to her termination, but also raises serious concerns about her ethical standing." The judge's expression hardened. "Do you deny these claims, Miss Holloway?" Isabel's voice cracked. I made financial decisions that I regret, but I would never let it affect my son." The judge flipped through the documents in front of her, her face unreadable. Finally, she set her pen down. "Having reviewed the evidence presented, I find that the petitioner, the father, has demonstrated greater stability, financial security, and primary involvement in the child's care." My breath caught. "Therefore, I am awarding full custody to the petitioner, with supervised visitation rights granted to the respondent." A sharp gasp echoed through the courtroom, but I didn't turn to look at Isabel. I didn't need to. I could feel her heart break. The ruling was final. Caleb was mine. Outside the courthouse, I took a deep breath, closing my eyes for a moment, before stepping onto the sidewalk. Leon clapped a hand on my shoulder. "You did it." I nodded slowly. "Yeah." It felt surreal. After weeks of fighting, gathering evidence, and proving myself, it was over. And yet, there was a hollowness inside me. Not because I regretted winning, but because there was nothing left of my marriage to mourn. Isabel had lost, and she knew it. As I reached my car, I heard footsteps behind me. Turning, I saw Isabel, standing there. Her face was pale, her eyes rimmed with red. She looked at me for a long moment, her lips trembling. "Please," she whispered, "don't shut me out of his life completely." I studied her, the woman I had once loved and trusted, now just a cautionary tale. Exhaling slowly, I said, the words that would define the rest of our lives. "I'll do what's best for Caleb." Then I got into my car, started the engine and drove away. I didn't look back. For the first time in a long time, I didn't need to.